Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Brandon with the Sharp Sports Report, and it's Monday. So you know what that means? We are officially in college football week. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Games start Thursday. Yes, there's NFL preseason, but I'm going to be glued to this TV Thursday through Saturday for week 0. College football is back. Oh my goodness, I just cannot believe it. Listen, last episode started doing a breakdown of the top 25 and end of season predictions with win-loss records and everything. We did 25 through 20. Now we're going to be doing 19 through 15 this morning. This is going to be the most critical bracket in the entire poll. These 5 programs that I'm going to be talking about this morning are not just trying to stay ranked, they carry legitimate 12-team college football playoff aspirations. But between new head coaching regimes, brutal cross-country travel schedules, and key quarterback transitions, the margin between 10-2 and 7-5 is literally razor thin for these 5 teams. So this morning I'm going to give you my exact regular season record predictions for SMU, Penn State, Washington, Michigan, and USC. And then breaking down the specific tape matchups and red flag schedule games that led me to what I'm going to tell you guys. So let's start this week off right, guys. College football is back. Maybe change it up. Don't get a coffee this morning. Maybe go get a tea. Get a green tea. Get something a little bit healthier for you. If you're a black coffee person, fantastic. Go get yourself a bagel with cream cheese. Hey, you know what? Go get some stuffed French toast from your favorite breakfast spot. Go get a big-ass omelet. Go do something different. You should be ecstatic. It is time for college football to be back on our TVs Thursday. All right, let's jump right into this. So, number 19, we have the SMU Mustangs. Rhett Lashley's offense with Kevin Jennings under center is an absolute scoring machine. They returned elite skill production and added trench depth on defense with Caden Curry off the edge. And in the ACC, their high-tempo style creates instant spatial problems. However, though, their physical floor gets tested when they face heavy front sevens that control the clock and keep Jennings off the field. Some of my key games to watch right now is actually going to be week 1 for SMU at Florida State. Opening the season in Tallahassee is a brutal road test. FSU's retooled secondary will test Jennings' patience in the pocket right out the gate. Then late in October, they play Miami, a potential ACC title game elimination match if SMU's defensive line can't stop Miami's run game. They'll get worn down in the fourth quarter. So, with that being said, with my prediction, just talking about those 2 games, I can see SMU finishing around, honestly, I'm going to say 9-3. And I think those losses will be Miami. I think they will lose to Notre Dame as well, even though as a Notre Dame fan, that's one of the trap games that I see. But this week 1 against Florida State right out the gate, ACC play for Rhett Lashley and company is going to be something to keep an eye on. So I'm going to finish with 9-3 SMU. They stay out of the CFP. I think they get snubbed from the ACC championship game. But let's move on. Number 18, Penn State. We have them, entering first year under Matt Campbell. The Nittany Lions is undergoing a culture shift. Campbell brings immediate physical toughness and developmental discipline, but installing a new offensive scheme with a fresh quarterback room takes time. They have enough blue chip talent to beat middle tier teams on raw execution, but they lack the explosive perimeter playmakers needed to run with the top 5 teams in the Big Ten. Some of my key games for the Penn State Nittany Lions is I actually have them finishing this year at 8-4. Mid-October at Iowa, a classic ugly trench war. Kinnick Stadium under the lights against Kirk Ferentz is a nightmare spot for a first-year staff trying to establish offensive rhythm. My next game for them to watch is going to be in November against Ohio State, the ultimate barometer game. Until Penn State can prove it can match Ohio State's perimeter speed, this remains a massive schematic hurdle for the Nittany Lions. I honestly could see them going to Kinnick and losing just because that's just how Iowa plays. And then also at the same time, yes, you have Ohio State as a home game, but time and time again, Penn State will have these massive games. They get picked by some analysts or sources, and they don't show up. They fall flat. They fall short. So I have them finishing 8-4 this year. Now, moving on to another Big Ten team, the Washington Huskies. Quarterback Damon Williams Jr. is literally the real deal. His dual threat playmaking and off-platform vision give Jed Fish an elite erasing variable when structure breaks down. And Washington's roster is super athletic, but their ultimate record will be defined by how their offensive line handles the physical week in, week out attrition of a full Big Ten schedule. I have them finishing 9-3 this year, and my two games to watch for them are early on in the season and late in the season. Early on, week 2 versus Washington State, known as the Apple Cup. Never overlook a rivalry game, especially early on in the schedule. When offensive lines are still gelling, this is a prime trap game for the Huskies. Washington State, granted, it is a home game for Washington, but there's just something about rivalry games, especially early on in the season, which, off topic, Notre Dame USC is going to start the rivalry again in a couple years. Anyways, the next game for Washington that I have my eyes on is going to be November at the Big House against Michigan, a brutal physical test late in the year. I mean, that's just tough. In November, the weather's probably going to be iffy. Traveling into Ann Arbor in November, like I said, to face a physical front four will prove if Washington's trenches have fully matured by then. So those are my two games to watch for Washington. Still a successful year, finishing at 9-3, but those two games could be some red alerts for Husky Nation out there. And speaking of Michigan, at number 16, the Wolverines. Michigan's defensive line and ground game remain elite. They can walk into almost any stadium, run the football 40 times, dominate time of possession, and strangle opponent drives. But in 2026, you can't just survive in the Big Ten on defense alone. So if their passing game doesn't hit 15 to 20-yard vertical shots to keep safeties out of the box, then their defense-heavy opponents will stack 8 men at the line and force Michigan into third and long passing situations. Surprisingly, I actually have Michigan having a great year. When I say great, I mean from what has happened after the J.J. McCarthy and Harbaugh National Championship. I have them finishing at 9-3. 2 games to watch. You already know what one of them is, but the first one is going to be October versus Oregon at the Big House, a complete style clash. If Michigan can't generate explosive passing plays to match Oregon's scoring pace, they get forced out of their run-heavy comfort zone. And I think they lose that game. Granted, it's at the Big House, but like I just said, if they cannot match the pace of Oregon, which they're going to be attack at all times, they don't care if the other team puts up 40. They're going to put up 50 to 60 points and hope you can keep up. Then the second one is always the game that everyone tunes into. It's the game at Ohio State this year. The season always comes down to this. Facing the number 1 team in the nation on the road requires quarterback heroics, not just defensive stops. And let me just retrace that. Facing the number 1 team as of right now, their preseason number 1. We don't know what Ohio State's going to be at that point, but still, it's the game. It's one of the biggest games, if not the biggest game at the end of the year. That's always going to be fun to watch. I mean, that's usually snow, rain, bitterly cold, crowds going insane, just fights left and right, flag planting. It's going to be fantastic. But like I said, I have Michigan finishing 9-3 this year. Moving on to the final Big Ten team, we have the USC Trojans. Jaden Mayava is poised for another monster season in Lincoln Riley's system, and USC carries the most explosive vertical passing attack in this 5-team group. The difference for USC this year is defense. They finally have the size and depth front to stop late game drives. So if their secondary limits big plays, Mayava's arm power will drive them straight into a 12-team playoff bubble. I have the USC Trojans at 10-2 this year. Some games to watch. Late September versus USC, a classic Big Ten style test. USC must prove their run defense can hold up against physical downhill rushing attacks. I also think their other game is going to be Penn State to watch out for. I think Penn State's going to have a sneaky good season. Is this going to be one of those games that gets Penn State over the hump? Granted, it's USC, yes, but USC comes with so much pedigree. And how many times does Penn State have, like I said, have had these big games but just don't show up? Anyways, USC finishes 10-2. I think it's going to be a great year for these 5 teams, all well above 500, all staying ranked probably within the top 15, top 20 at the end of the year. But as of right now for this week, that is my breakdown and schedule predictions for the AP AP teams ranked 19 through 15, SMU, Penn State, Washington, Michigan, and USC. I want to hear from you guys down in the comments. Which of these 5 teams is most likely to crash the top 10, and who gets exposed first? Are you riding with Lincoln Riley and USC, or do you think Kyle Whittingham takes Michigan and their defense carries the day where they can finally win the big game and also have a great offense and defense at the same time? Drop your guys' takes below. I appreciate everyone for listening to this. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And stay tuned to our channel for short-form video breakdowns throughout the week. Like I said, this is probably going to be a week where I get a lot more episodes out than my regular Monday and Thursday. So be on the lookout for tomorrow. Appreciate you starting your morning with me and college football week. Stay locked to the tape. Stay disciplined. And I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Have a good one.